Ryan Stone, would you be willing to offer a nightly tribute to the new Lord of Blackrock on behalf of the Stone family? In the center of the main hall, the old deacon's voice faded. All eyes were on me. I held the silver saber and stood at the front of the crowd, maintaining a perfectly composed expression. Today is the coronation day of the new Lord of Blackrock. My brother, Leonard Stone, will inherit everything our father left behind: territory, castle, army, wealth, and the glory of the Stone family name that all nobles dream of. And I was just his second son standing behind him. Everyone has known this for the past 2 decades. What does being a second son mean? This means that although I have the Stone family bloodline, I am not eligible to inherit the territory. It means that while my father was alive, I could still rely on his protection to live. This means that after my father passed away, I had to find my own path. I slowly walked forward. Leonard sat atop the high platform, clad in Black Lord's armor. That suit of armor once belonged to our father. 3 months ago, my father led the Blackrock Knights to resist the beast tide from the north, but ultimately returned severely wounded. He lay in bed for 7 days. He left this world in the early hours of the 8th day. He didn't leave many words before his death. He simply held Lena's hand and said, "Hold the Black Rock." Then he looked at me. At that moment, the emotions in his eyes were very complex. I feel guilty, and I also feel worried. He knew, under the Stone family's rules, my future path will be difficult, but he couldn't change it. This is the case with the aristocratic succession system. The eldest son inherits the family fortune, while the other sons seek their own glory. I bowed my head in greeting. May Blackstone territory continue to prosper in my brother's hands. Lena looked at me and gave me a gentle smile. Ryan, you will always be my brother. Her voice was very gentle. People who don't know him might actually believe it, but I know. There's not much brotherhood in that statement. It's more of a reminder to everyone. I am his younger brother. However, he is not the master of Blackrock territory. On both sides of the main hall, nobles from various regions raised their cups. Congratulations to Lord Leonard on inheriting Blackstone territory. The Stone family is destined for an even brighter future. The old lord in heaven would be pleased. One compliment after another followed. They looked at Renner with awe. When they looked at me, there was a hint of pity in their eyes. What a pity! Someone lowered their voice. Sir Ryan is quite capable. I heard that he also studied military affairs under the old lord when he was young. It's a pity he was only the second son. Once Leonard has complete control of Blackrock territory, he should be arranged to leave. I heard those words clearly, but there was no response. Because just a few days ago, I already knew my future. I also know that I don't need to rely on the Stone family at all. My soul comes from another world. That world had no nobles, no knights, and no magic. There, I was just an ordinary person. After an accident, I woke up as Ryan Stone in this world. At first, it took me a long time to accept all of this. Later, I discovered something. A treasure that originally did not belong to this world. The compass for finding spirits in all things. It lies hidden deep within my consciousness. Only I can see it. The bronze compass surface is engraved with ancient patterns. I've been studying it for the past few years. Until recently, I finally confirmed it. It possesses the ability to find spirit insects. In this world, the power system and the source of wealth all revolve around spirit insects. Ordinary spirit insects can cultivate magical herbs. Primary elves can assist nobles in their development. High-ranking elves represent a family's heritage spanning hundreds of years. As for the legendary dragon spirit, that is the most powerful force on the entire continent. Knights who possess dragon mounts are called dragon knights. They stood above all the nobles. And my compass. This is my chance to change my destiny. So today, I stand here, listening to everyone's discussion. I felt no disappointment whatsoever, because they don't know. The down on his luck second son in their eyes will soon leave this place, to embark on a completely different path. After the coronation ceremony, the fourth prince, Ian Velos, found me. He stood in the side hall, looking out the window at Blackstone City. Ryan, Your Highness. I bowed. Ian waved his hand. There are no outsiders here. He turned around. You should have seen the looks in those people's eyes today. I did not answer. He continued, I'm a lot like you. What's the meaning? Ian smiled. I am the Emperor's fourth son. My brothers are more qualified to inherit the throne than I am. Everyone thinks that my best option for the future is to support one of my imperial brothers, or become a prince without real power. He looked at me as he said this. So I understand your situation. Ryan, I want you to become my personal bodyguard. Follow me and leave this place. In the future, I can give you knighthood, land, and the glory that belongs to you. This is indeed a very good invitation. If I were an ordinary Ryan, I might agree. He became a personal guard for the prince. As Ian grows up, the future will unfold. Perhaps they really can achieve a good position. But now I have my own plans. I shook my head. Thank you for your kindness, Your Highness. Ian frowned slightly. You refuse? Yes. Why? I looked at him. Because I want to walk my own path. Ian remained silent for a moment. Then he laughed. You are more ambitious than I imagined. I hope that one day in the future, I can still see the results of today's choice. After he finished speaking, he handed me a silver badge. If you encounter any problems that you can't solve, you can take this to me. I took the badge. Thank you, Your Highness. That evening, the banquet was halfway through. Leonard stood before all the nobles. He raised his glass. About my brother Ryan. All eyes were drawn back to them. I sat there, waiting quietly. Ryan has decided to forge a new future for the Stone family. Leonard smiled. He will travel to the border of the northern cold river to establish a new frontier territory. The hall fell silent. The next moment, many people wore meaningful expressions. The northern cold river. What place is that? The coldest border of the empire. That place is near the Sea of the Scaled People. It was plagued by constant warfare. Wasteland is everywhere. More than half of the people sent to reclaim land each year never return. Leonard continued. I believe my brother will be able to create his own glory there. Applause erupted. Everyone was applauding, but I could tell from it, there were no blessings in those rounds of applause. All we do is watch the show. They believe. This is the final arrangement Leonard gave me. A dignified exile. I put down my wine glass. There was no argument. Because arguing is pointless. The real battles are never decided at banquets. It was late at night. I left the hall. As we exited through the side gate of the castle, Kyle was already there waiting for me. He was wearing black leather armor and leading 2 war horses with magical patterns. My equipment is placed next to me. Sapphire longsword. Finely crafted leather armor. Travel cloak. Everything is ready. They saw me come out. Kyle said in a low voice. Grown-ups. Ready. I looked at him. You know where I'm going. Kyle nodded. No. It's dangerous there. I know that too. He might not be able to come back. Kyle gripped the reins tightly. From the day I became your servant, my life belonged to you. I patted him on the shoulder. Kyle, don't call me sir anymore. Call him Lord. He paused for a moment. Then he laughed. Clear. Just as we were about to leave, a black stone steward followed after them with 2 guards. Young Master Ryan. I stopped in my tracks. The butler, Harold, handed over a wooden box. This is a gift from your wife. I opened the box. Inside was a gray earthenware jar. The instant I saw it, my hand stopped. These are my mother's ashes. My mother, Elsa Stone. She died when I was young. According to aristocratic tradition, she should be buried in the Stone family cemetery. But now, her ashes, however, were delivered to me, Harlow said in a low voice. The lady said this was a small token of her appreciation. There are also 12,000 gold coins. I hope that young master will not dwell on the past anymore. I looked at the ashes in the box. The voice gradually turned cold. Things from the past? Harold avoided my gaze. Madam is also doing this for the sake of family stability. I picked up the stack of banknotes. The next second, in front of him, tear it apart bit by bit. The paper fell to the ground. Harold's expression changed. Young Master Ryan. I looked at him. Tell Anan. Some things. It can't be bought back with gold coins. Harold's face darkened. Young Master, you have now left Blackrock territory. It's best to be mindful of your status when you speak. The next moment, Kyle's sword was already pressed against his neck. The cold blade silenced Harold instantly. I picked up my mother's ashes. He turned and walked towards the dock. There, a crimson warship is approaching, and in my hands, holding a horn that has not been sounded for many years. This is the last keepsake my mother left me. It was also a promise between me and my maternal grandfather, Herman Chieo. I took a deep breath. Sound the bugle. A deep sound echoed across the sea. On a warship in the distance, the banner of the Crimson Claw family was slowly raised. A new path. When the Red Claw clan's warships docked outside Blackstone Harbor, the entire dock fell silent. The black and red Marquise flag fluttered in the wind. That's the symbol of the Red Claw family. one of the 6 hereditary marquises of Beihai. Although Blackstone territory is also a noble territory, it is still a level below the Crimson Claw clan. The gunwale was lowered. One figure stepped down first. The man wore dark blue knight's armor, with the Crimson Claw family crest engraved on his shoulder armor. He was nearly 40, with a robust build, and an old scar on his face that stretched from his brow bone to the corner of his mouth. Perrin Redclaw, my maternal uncle. He is also one of the most powerful earth-armored knights in the Crimson Claw clan. The first thing he did when he saw me was not to ask what had happened in Blackrock territory. He just walked up to me, kneeled down on one knee. Young Master Ryan. Everyone around was stunned. A high-ranking knight actually bowed to a second son who had been exiled. I quickly helped him up. Uncle Perron. There's no need for that. Perrin stood up. His gaze fell on the urn containing my ashes. His expression changed. This is... I did not answer. He simply nodded slightly. Perrin clenched his fist. They actually delivered Elsa's ashes to you? The voice was very low, but it carried a suppressed anger. I looked at Blackrock City in the distance. This is not over yet. Perrin gave me a deep look. He then said, let's go back to Chieo Island first. Your grandfather is waiting for you. 5 days later, Chieo Island. This is my first time visiting the place where my mother was born. This place is completely different from Blackstone Island. Blackrock territory is frequently affected by war due to its proximity to the northern border. The town is more like a military fortress. Chieo Island is teeming with life. Large tracts of spiritual plant fields are scattered throughout the island. Merchant ships came and went constantly. The residents on the street wore peaceful smiles on their faces. There's none of the tension you feel in Blackstone Ridge here. They had just entered the Marquis' mansion. Grandmother Elena then quickly came out. She is over 60 years old. His hair is gray. But the moment she saw me, her eyes immediately welled up with tears. Ryan. I stopped in my tracks. This title. It's been many years since anyone called me that gently. She walked up to me and reached out to touch my face. You've lost weight. In short, it left me silent for a long time. In Blackstone territory, nobody cares whether I'm eating well. Are you tired? Everyone only cares about my worth. Whether it can bring benefits to the family. It can be found here. For some people, the first thing they see is me as a person. I whispered, Grandmother. She didn't ask me why I left. They didn't even ask me if I had failed. She just held my hand. It's good that you're back. After entering the lobby, I met my maternal grandfather, Herman Redao. He was lying in bed. His waist was wrapped in thick bandages. Next to it is the Royal Navy uniform he wore when he was young. Perrin explained, 2 weeks ago, my father had an accident while training his new warhorse. I injured my back. The doctor told him to rest. I looked at the old man on the bed. Herman waved his hand. Help me up. The attendants nearby hurriedly tried to dissuade him. My lord, your injury. I am a knight. He's not a cripple. Several servants carefully helped him up. He changed into his old military uniform. Then he sat down in front of me. Ryan, come over. I walked over. He looked at me. He remained silent for a long time. He finally sighed. Like your mother. My heart skipped a beat. Herman reached out and patted me on the shoulder. I didn't agree to her marrying into the Stone family back then, because I know that those old nobles valued the rules of inheritance too much. But she said she trusted her husband. She believes your father will protect you. Speaking of which, Herman closed his eyes. I didn't expect that. In the end, I still disappointed her. The hall fell silent. I didn't say anything, because now is not the time to cry and complain. I am no longer the child who needs someone to protect me. Grandpa, I want to know about the land reclamation in Bayhan River. Herman opened his eyes. His eyes sharpened again. You really didn't come back seeking refuge. You want to establish your own territory. Yes, I answered. Herman stared at me for a long time. Suddenly I laughed. Very good. People of the Red Claw clan should have this kind of backbone. That evening, Perrin brought in some intelligence. From the northern Cold River province. It contains all my arrangements. I opened the file. His brows slowly furrowed. Cedric Mohn, governor of the North Cold River province. He was once his father's most trusted subordinate, but now they have reached an agreement with Lenner. It's clearly stated in the document. After I arrive at the North Cold River, the Reclamation Management Office will assign me to the most dangerous areas. That area is close to the range of the Scaled people. There are no city walls. There were no supplies. There were no reinforcements. Herman sneered. Your brother is more anxious than I imagined. He wanted everyone to think that you chose to die. I put down the file. Pity. He doesn't know. What I like most is starting from a desperate situation. Herman looked at me. A hint of appreciation appeared in his eyes. The next day, he led me to the Marquis' study. Open a map of Beihai. The finger landed on a stretch of sea. Here, North Wind Beach. I looked over. It is not far from the North Cold River province. It is an island region. This is an enclave controlled by the Red Claw family, Herman said. Originally, this area belonged to the family's early pioneering area. Later, because it was too close to the border of the empire, it was forgotten by many people. There are more than 2,000 residents there. The infrastructure is still there. I'll give it to you. I was stunned. Grandpa. Herman raised his hand to interrupt. What you need is your own territory. It's not my protection. North Wind Beach belongs to you. Starting today, that is your foundation. I looked at the map. For the first time, I truly had a goal in my heart. It's not about escaping Blackrock territory. It's not for the nobles to see. Instead, it's about building a place that belongs to you. A territory that no one can take away. The next 6 days, I didn't rush to leave. Instead, they searched all over Chieo Island. Because I have a secret. The compass for finding spirits in all things. Since arriving at Chieo Island, the compass kept vibrating. This place is filled with the aura of spiritual insects. One morning, I brought Kyle to Little Bean Village. This is the most ordinary village on Chieo Island. The land is barren. The harvest has been consistently poor. The villagers were a little nervous when they saw us. An elderly man walked over. The Marquis' guest? I nodded. I'd like to see your farmland. The old man was puzzled. Please take us there. Just as we were passing by a bean field, the compass in my mind suddenly lit up. A message appeared. Low-level spirit insect life fluctuations detected. Target. Small bean spirit insect status. Weak. I stopped in my tracks. My gaze fell on an inconspicuous little bean vine. Here. That was my first opportunity. I squatted down. Dig away the soil. A tiny insect egg lay there quietly. There was almost no sign of life. The old man sighed. This thing is almost dead. People in our village have discovered spirit insects before, but no one can support them. I took out the chalcedony powder that I always carry with me. These are precious materials that I prepared in advance. Sprinkle a little around the plant, he then said. Starting today, I'll take care of this bean vine. The old man was puzzled. What if we fail? I looked at the insect egg. It will not fail, because I know. This will be my first spirit insect after I become a lord. That was also the beginning of my changing destiny. Everyone in Shadow Village thinks I'm crazy. A dying insect egg. A bean vine growing on barren land. Such things have no value in their eyes. But I know. What does the first spirit insect mean to a lord who has just left Blackrock territory and has no foundation? It represents more than just wealth. It represents the future. I come to the little bean field every day. Observe the changes in the bean vines. Kyle stood beside me, watching me tend to the same plant for several days in a row, and finally couldn't help but speak up. Young Master Ryan, are you really sure it will survive? I looked at the compass in my hand. Sure. Why? I smiled. Because I can see things that others cannot see. Kyle remained silent for a moment. He has followed me for many years and knows that I have many secrets. He did not press the matter further. That's what I admire most about him. Loyal, yet knowing how to maintain boundaries. The third day. The bean vines are finally showing signs of change. The leaves, which had turned yellow, began to recover. Tender green shoots sprouted from the vines. The villagers gathered around. The look in their eyes as they looked at me changed from suspicion to surprise. He's really alive? This bean vine has actually sprouted again. The Marquis' guest really has a way. I did not explain. They simply continued to add chalcedony powder. 2 more days passed. The compass gave a notification. The small bean worm is in stable condition. Should we enter into a bloodline contract? I reached out my hand, touching the insect eggs with fingertips. A warm energy entered my body. The next moment, the insect eggs cracked open. A tiny insect, no bigger than a thumb, crawled out. It is light green all over and has fine lines on its back. The moment it saw me, it came close to me affectionately. The contract is complete. Obtained the first spirit insect, Adzuki Bean Spirit Insect. Ability. Increases the growth rate of legumes. Compass unlocks new features. A new message appeared in my mind. The Myriad Spirit Compass has added a new function. Aid in the cultivation of spirit insects. It only requires spending gold coins. You can then purchase special host plants suitable for the growth of spirit insects. I saw this feature. I was overjoyed. This means, as long as you have enough wealth, my spirit insects will grow at a rate far exceeding that of ordinary nobles. It takes ordinary families several years or even decades to cultivate spirit insects. And me. There is a shortcut. After the Little Bean's spirit insect contract is successfully completed, I left some chalcedony powder for the villagers. Let them continue to take care of the bean field. The village chief knelt on the ground in excitement. Grown-ups, you saved more than just this bean vine. It's also from our village. I helped him up. We will need you in the future. As long as you work hard, I guarantee you will never go hungry again. After leaving Xiaodo village, my grandfather, Herman, summoned me. In the lobby, he had 4 exquisite wooden boxes on display. Open it and take a look. I opened them one by one. Inside lay 4 spirit insect contract marks. This is the accumulation of the Red Claw family over the years, Herman said. Rye worm, alfalfa insect, crimson spirit insect, tomato parasite. They have all used up their contract slots once. Limited growth potential. But for you who have just established your territory, that's enough. I looked at the 4 spirit insect marks. I know it perfectly well. This gift is of immense value. If you take it out to sell, it is enough to exchange for a large amount of gold coins. More importantly, this is the support the Red Claw family has given me. Grandpa, I'll accept it. Herman nodded. You need some more strength. Then he had Perrin take me to see the 12 knights. All of these people were standing on the training field. They were wearing identical armor. There were no elaborate decorations. Yet each of them exuded a calm and composed aura. They will follow you to Northwind Beach, Perrin said, and their families. From today onwards, their future is tied to yours. I looked at these knights. He nodded solemnly. I will not let you down. Then, Herman then took me to the port. A huge 4-masted merchant ship was moored there. 3 characters are engraved on the hull. Purple Honey. These are warships that were converted into merchant ships during the reign of the late king, Herman said. It once belonged to the Royal Navy. Now it's yours. I looked at the enormous ship in front of me. It was the first time I felt that way. I have truly gained a starting point. The ship was loaded with 120 tons of grain. There are also a lot of tools, arms, cloth, medicinal herbs. It was sufficient to support the initial development of Beifengtan. Before leaving, Herman then took out another exquisite box. After opening, inside was a spirit contract stone shimmering with green light. This is Millie's contract seal, a high-ranking rose spirit of the Crimson Claw family. If you'd like, you can let her help you. I glanced at it. He then shook his head. Grandpa, I can't accept it. Herman frowned. Why? This is your chance. I looked at the contract stone. The Red Claw family also has a younger generation. They need this opportunity more than anything. I have my own path. Herman remained silent for a long time. Then he laughed. Like your mother. Just as stubborn. I laughed too. That's a compliment. Certainly. Before leaving Chieo Island, I carried my mother's ashes into the Chieo family cemetery. This is where members of the Red Claw family are buried. I personally placed the ashes under the new tombstone. She didn't cry. I just stood there for a long time. Mother, from now on, I will forge my own path. And everyone will know. Your son. We won't live forever in a fate arranged by others. The next morning, the Purple Honey sets sail. 12 knights, Kyle, and their families, follow me as we head towards the North Cold River. On deck, I hold the all-seeing spirit compass. Looking out at the distant sea, everything in Blackrock territory, that's all in the past. Next, I want to build my own Northwind Beach. I want to make those who once looked down on me understand. A second sun. They could also reach the pinnacle of the mainland. The 12th day after the Purple Honey departed from Red Claw Island, the sea was calm. The fleet has entered the waters near the North Cold River. This place is not far from Beifengtan. According to the original plan, we should have arrived at the territory in 2 more days. But on that very morning, the myriad manifestation spirit compass in my hand suddenly vibrated violently. I immediately stopped in my tracks. Kyle noticed my unusual behavior and came over. Young Master Ryan, what happened? I looked at the compass. The bronze pointer above is spinning wildly. A distinctive mark appeared on the sea surface. Special spirit insect discovered category. Coral land building spirit rarity. Extremely high. My breath caught in my throat for a moment. Coral is the spirit that creates land. This is the first time I've seen this name on a compass. According to the information transmitted by the compass, this kind of spirit insect has no offensive capabilities and cannot cultivate medicinal herbs. However, it possesses an extremely special ability. After life ends, the body will transform into a new land, a mature coral land building spirit. It can create thousands of acres of coral land. For any island lord, this is unimaginable wealth. Land. It has always been the most important resource for nobles, especially in Beihai. Many islands face significant limitations in development due to their limited size. If you have a way to continuously expand your land, that means the future holds infinite possibilities. Change course. I gave the order directly. Captain Barron hesitated upon hearing this. Lord Ryan, no flight path record ahead. There might be hidden reefs there. I glanced at him. Keep going. Barron hesitated for a moment. Ultimately, the command was executed. The purple honey adjusted its course. Half an hour later, the compass needle grew brighter and brighter. I walked to the side of the boat. Below the sea surface, a cluster of white corals can be vaguely seen. Stop the ship. I took off my coat. Kyle's expression changed. Grown-ups. You want to go to sea? Yes. The situation below is unknown. There may be danger. I looked at him. If you don't even dare to seize this kind of opportunity, how will we defend Bayfangton in the future? Kyle didn't try to persuade him any further. He simply drew his long sword. I'll go down with you. No. I shook my head. You stay on the ship. Protect the fleet. Then, I jumped into the sea. The icy seawater instantly enveloped my body. With the blessing of the night's power, this bit of cold doesn't bother me. The compass continuously guides the way. I swam quickly into the deeper water. Soon, I saw a special life. A transparent insect the size of a fist. It was hidden among the corals. Her body was like crystal. It emits a soft glow. I reached out my hand. It did not run away. Instead, they took the initiative to approach. The bloodline pact begins. A force entered the body. The next moment, the compass gave a prompt. Contract successful. Obtain coral land building spirit. Unlock special breeding privileges. New information has entered my consciousness. As long as you have enough gold coins, then one can purchase similar spirit insects using a compass. This news shocked me. It signifies the future. I don't need to wait for a chance discovery. It can actively create new land. After the contract is completed, I returned to the ship with the coral land building spirit. Everyone was looking at me, especially Captain Barron. His eyes changed completely. Before, he was outwardly respectful, but in his heart, he didn't truly accept me. In his view, I am just a young nobleman who travels to the border with the support of my family. But now, he saw it with his own eyes. I ventured into the dangerous waters alone. They brought back a legendary spirit insect. Attitudes have changed. Lord Ryan. Barron lowered his head. It was my rudeness before. I glanced at him. Be a good captain. What I need is ability. It's not about trying to please. Barron nodded seriously. Clear. Back on deck. I checked the compass. The coral land building spirit is currently in its juvenile stage. It takes a lot of time to grow. Land cannot be created at this time. But, that's enough. I've added another card to my deck. 2 days later, the purple honey arrived at Cold River Island. This is the main city of Beihan Province. It is also a place that all border nobles must pass through. I need to gain imperial approval here. Obtain official pioneering documents. Otherwise, even with the North Wind Beach, it is also impossible for it to develop legally. We have just entered the city. I then sensed an unusual atmosphere. Both sides of the street. Many people are watching us. It's obvious. My identity has already been leaked. Is this the second son of Blackrock territory? I heard I was assigned to reclaim wasteland in the North Cold River. I don't think he'll live much longer. These discussions did not affect me. I led my men directly to the Reclamation Management Office. Inside the lobby, the official in charge of processing the paperwork was named DeVille. He saw my identity documents. I just glanced at it casually. Ryan Stone? The second son of Blackrock territory? I need time to review your land reclamation application. How long? I asked. DeVille picked up his teacup. About a month. I looked at him. A month? Border reclamation involves complex procedures. Please understand. I laughed. Mr. DeVille, are you sure you need a month? The smile on his face remained unchanged. That's the rule. I did not argue. He simply produced a letter. Place it on the table. A personal letter from Herman. The Marquis of Red Claw. The moment Deville saw the seal, his expression changed. I spoke slowly. If the management office cannot process it according to the imperial procedures, I will submit an explanation to the Grand Duke. This indicates that there were human-caused obstacles to the land reclamation management in the Beihan province. The hall fell silent instantly. Deville broke out in a cold sweat. Marquis of Red Claw. It's not someone he can afford to offend. They are not the kind of people the governor of the Northern Cold River would want to directly clash with. A few minutes later, he picked up the document again. Lord Ryan, your procedures are complete. This is a temporary permit for permanent land reclamation. I took the documents. Thanks. Leave the management office, Kyle said in a low voice. They were indeed targeting us. I looked toward the castle in the distance. This is just the beginning. The real trouble, still in Beifengton. I put the documents away. They led their team to the Chamber of Commerce. Next, I need to purchase enough supplies. Then I set foot on my own land, Northwind Beach. It will soon meet its true owner. When it left Cold River Island, the Purple Honey was loaded with supplies, farm tools, timber, salt, grain, cloth, medicinal herbs, and a large number of daily necessities. These things look ordinary. For a newly developed territory, it is more important than gold coins, because gold coins can only be exchanged for resources. Resources are what truly make a territory function. The fleet continued to approach the Northwind Shoal. I stood on the deck, watching the outline of the island gradually appear in the distance. This land is about to become my starting point. But when the Purple Honey docked, the sight before me made my face slowly darken. The port is dilapidated. The wooden stakes were rotten. There was no welcoming party for the lord on the shore. Not a single person even approached them. Only a few dozen poorly dressed residents stood at a distance, observing cautiously. Kyle gripped the hilt of his sword. Something's not right. I nodded. This place is completely different from the Northwind Beach that my grandfather described. The Red Claw clan once ruled this place, although the location is remote. But there are residents, farmland, and infrastructure here. Now it resembles an abandoned wasteland. I led my men off the ship. An elderly man hesitated for a long time before finally walking over. You are Ryan Stone, the new lord of Northwind Beach. The old man's body jolted. The surrounding residents also started talking about it. The new lord? Isn't he one of Baron Blackrock's men? He really came? I heard the key name, Baron Blackrock. It seems that what happened here is more complicated than I imagined. I looked at the old man. Tell me, what happened here? The old man lowered his head. There was a long silence. Finally, it was said, Grown-ups, you'd better not worry about it. Why? The old man looked around. Lower your voice. Because Baron Blackrock has controlled this place for 3 years. The people here are all afraid of him. 3 years ago, Baron Blackrock Victor Halson used the pretext of assisting the Red Claw family in managing Northwind Beach. In reality, they gradually occupied this place. He forced residents to cut down forests, to make charcoal, then they profit from trade. What's even more unacceptable is, he made a deal with the nearby Scaled People tribe. Each month, elderly people are selected. They were given to the Scaled People as sacrificial offerings, in exchange for the corpses of the Scaled People. Because of the Imperial military merit system, defeating enemy races can earn you merit points. Baron Blackrock wanted to gain military merit. They actually traded their own people for personal gain. 3 years. The population of Beifengton has decreased from more than 3,000 to less than 1,000. After hearing all this, my hands slowly clenched into fists. After being transported to this world, I have witnessed the scheming among nobles. I have witnessed the cruelty of the inheritance system, but I didn't expect that. Some people will do it for profit, to achieve this level. Where is Baron Blackrock now? The old man shook his head. Have no idea. He rarely appears in person. Normally, his butler, Gus, manages this place. Just then, a commotion arose in the distance. A dozen soldiers escorted several elderly people over. The leading man was wearing leather armor. His face was filled with arrogance. Run! It's your turn today. The elderly people were pale. One of the old men knelt down. Lord Gus, I am already 60 years old. Please, spare me. The man sneered. So what if you're 60? The Scaled People prefer older people. You can earn military merit even if you die. The surrounding residents kept their heads down. No one dared to resist. I walked over. Stop. Gus stopped. He looked me up and down. Who are you? I looked at him. Ryan Stone, the new lord of Northwind Beach. The air fell silent instantly. Gus was taken aback. Then he laughed. So it's the young master of the Stone family. I thought it was someone else. He took a few steps closer. This is the place under the control of Baron Blackrock. Although you are a lord, but I'm new here. There are still many things we don't understand. I looked at him. These elderly people. Where are you planning to send it? Gus's expression remained unchanged. Naturally. We should follow tradition. What tradition? Dedicated to the scaled people. He spoke as if it were perfectly natural. The next second, I drew my longsword. The sword stopped in front of him. Starting today, this tradition is abolished. Gus's expression changed. Lord Ryan, you'd better think this through. Offending Baron Blackrock. It won't end well. I did not answer. He simply looked at the residents behind him. 3 years ago. Why didn't you resist? No one spoke. They were afraid. Fear of Baron Blackrock. Fear of soldiers. Fear of death. 3 years of oppression. They have lost the courage to resist. Sudden. A boy stepped forward. He was only a teenager. The clothes were worn out. His eyes, however, were very determined. Because they killed those who resisted. Gus roared. Russo! Shut up! The boy did not back down. They stole our food. Burned down our houses. They even used the old man to feed the scaly people. We are waiting for someone to come and rescue us every day. He finished speaking. The surrounding residents began to weep quietly. 3 years of patience. Finally, someone told the truth. I looked at Gus. Now, anything else to say? Gus took a step back. Blow a whistle. A dozen soldiers quickly arrived from a distance. Kyle draws his sword. The 12 Crimson Claw Knights stepped forward simultaneously. A powerful knightly aura was instantly released. Gus's face turned deathly pale. He finally realized it. The young nobleman before me. Not the kind of exile who can be bullied at will. I walked up to him. The First Lord's Order of Northwind Beach. Abolish the hard labor of working in charcoal kilns. Abolish the sacrifice of the scaly people. All property seized by Baron Blackrock. Re-register all of them. Gus gritted his teeth. You can't do that. I looked at him. I am the lord of this place. I can. That day, Gus was surrounded by residents. 3 years of anger. 3 years of humiliation. It finally erupted. Those who once bowed their heads. He picked up the tools in his hand. They did not back down. That night, Gus collapsed at the Northwind Beach port. I stood at a distance, looking at the residents who had been silent for so long. For the first time, they raised their heads. He looked at his new lord. I know. To truly subdue a piece of land, it doesn't rely on a piece of paper. It's about making the people here believe. The future is promising. After Gus's death, Northwind Beach fell into a brief period of chaos. The 3 years of oppression ended too suddenly. Many residents couldn't even believe it. The corrupt official who had been riding high on them finally fell. But I know very well. Killing one Gus does not mean that Northwind Beach is truly safe. Baron Blackrock is still alive. The threat of the scaled people still exists. If the fundamental problems are not addressed, today's victory will soon become the beginning of the next disaster. The next morning, I summoned all the residents of Northwind Beach. Thousands of people gathered in the port square. They were looking at me. There was expectation in his eyes, but also unease. I stood on the high platform. He didn't say many nice things. Starting today, Bayfengton belongs to all those who are willing to protect it. I will investigate everything that has happened in the past 3 years. The price that must be paid will not be seldom waived. The crowd quieted down. An old man asked, trembling, grown-ups, will we need to send more people to the scaled people in the future? I looked at him. Won't. No one has the right to decide who among you deserves to die. These words were spoken. Many people lowered their heads. Some people started to cry. They had waited far too long for these words. Then, I began to renovate Bayfengton. The first thing, population census. The second thing, restore food supply. The third thing, establish defensive capabilities. Neil, the administrator who originally managed Northwind Beach, approached me. He is over 50 years old. He was once a manager sent by the Red Claw family. However, after Baron Blackrock took control of this place, he was sidelined. We can only watch helplessly as the residents suffer. Grown-ups. Neil lowered his head. I am willing to continue to serve Northwind Beach. I looked at him. Why? Neil remained silent for a moment. Because I owe the people here. For the past 3 years, I have been unable to stop Baron Blackrock. But now, I want to get the rest done. I nodded. Starting today, you are responsible for assisting in the management of the territory. Excitement flashed in Neil's eyes. Thank you, sir. After arranging administrative affairs, I found that boy again. Russo. He stood at the edge of the crowd. They seemed a little nervous as I approached. Why did you dare to step forward? I asked. Russo kept his head down. Because my father was also killed by them. I don't want to keep watching them bully people. I looked at him. This boy did not possess great power. They had no noble status. But he possesses many things that adults have lost. Courage. Are you willing to learn to write? Russo was stunned. Grown-ups? I need a clerical apprentice. Record territorial affairs. Are you willing? He nodded vigorously. Willing. After dealing with the internal issues, I began to investigate the actual situation at Northwind Beach. Neil took me on a tour of the territory. For the past 3 years, Baron Blackrock cut down vast amounts of forest to make charcoal. This has led to large tracts of land being abandoned. The amount of farmland has decreased. There is a severe food shortage. But there are also advantages here. The sea area is abundant. The land area is sufficient. As long as production resumes, there is great potential for future development. I checked the warehouse. It was filled with a large amount of charcoal. This is something left behind by Baron Blackrock. If you keep it, it makes no sense. I've come up with a solution. Sell these charcoal pieces. They exchanged it for food. Then, the first large-scale transaction took place at Bayfengton. Nearby merchants saw that the price was reasonable. They bought them in droves. The grain they received in exchange, all of them were distributed to the residents. Many people received their grain bags. He remained silent for a long time. An old man is holding a bag of grain. His voice trembled. We used to spend a whole day cutting charcoal. We can only exchange it for a little bit of food. Now, he couldn't continue. I patted him on the shoulder. Things you'll earn through labor in the future. No one can take it away from me. The next few days, order was gradually restored at Bayfengton. Residents began repairing their houses, reorganized the land. Young people volunteered to patrol. I selected more than 200 physically strong young men from among them. Form a militia. Kyle was in charge of training them. Although these people are not yet comparable to regular knights, but at least they have the determination to protect their homeland. Just then, the scout knight brings news. My lord, traces of the scaled people have been discovered. I came to the coast. On the distant sea, a dozen or so figures moved quickly. Scale people. They once relied on human sacrifices provided by the Blackrock Baron. Now, Bayfengton has a new owner. They certainly wouldn't give up easily. Kyle grips his sword. Grown-ups. Should we intervene? I looked at the sea. This must be resolved. Otherwise, residents will never truly feel at ease. That evening, I made a plan. The scaled people are skilled in naval warfare. If they were to pursue each other at sea, we have no advantage. Therefore, we must force them to come ashore. I had the militia hide in the woods. Kyle led the cavaliers in the frontal assault, and me, piloting the Purple Honey, cut off their escape route. The next day, the battle begins. The scaled people thought that Northwind Beach was still the same place where they could be slaughtered at will. They rushed ashore, prepared to attack the village. They can be welcomed. It was a team that had been prepared for a long time. Kyle led the cavaliers in a charge. The longsword sliced through the air. The first batch of scaled people fell instantly. The remaining scaly people realized something was wrong. I want to return to the sea. Just then, the Purple Honey appeared from the side, blocked their retreat. I stood at the bow of the boat. He drew his sapphire sword. Northwind Beach. This is not a place you can come to whenever you want. This battle, it lasted for a full half day. Final. All 520 scaled people were defeated. The coastline has returned to calm. The residents stood at a distance. They watched as the enemy they once feared fell. They finally understood. A new era has begun. After the battle, I checked the military merits I had earned. Distance from the hereditary baronial title recognized by the Empire. Only the last bit of distance remains. But I didn't rush to celebrate. Because I know. The real enemy. It hasn't appeared yet. Baron Blackrock. It's time for him to pay the price. After the scaled people were eliminated, Northwind Beach finally enjoyed true peace. The past 3 years, the first thing people think about when they open their eyes each day is how to survive. Now, they are starting to think about how to farm, how to build houses, and how to ensure their children have a full meal. But I know, this is just the beginning. Baron Blackrock Victor Halson has not fallen yet. As long as this person exists, Northwind Beach will never be truly safe, because he not only controls Blackrock Island. They also own their own fleet of ships at sea. If he knows what happened at Northwind Beach, he will definitely launch a counterattack immediately. So, I decided to make the first move. Neil took the map and went to the study. Grown-ups, Black Rock Island is not far from Northwind Beach. His castle and iron mine are on the island. Based on past intelligence, Baron Blackrock has several hundred guards under his command. I looked at the map. How many soldiers does he have? Neil shook his head. There aren't many true knights, but he has many sailors. The Blackrock Baron relied on maritime transport for development. He has several merchant ships converted into warships. I nodded. That's the problem. Northwind Beach lacks navigation personnel. Although the Purple Honey is powerful, but there was only one ship. If we directly attack Blackrock Island, the crew issue must be resolved. Just then, Russo walked in carrying the documents. Grown-ups, this is the most recent transport record for Blackrock Island. I took it. I glanced at it. This is a trade record left by Baron Blackrock 3 months ago. It contains detailed records of the charcoal transportation time. There are also fleet routes. I looked at Russo. Where did this information come from? Russo said. In the past, the Blackrock Baron's men often entrusted the documents to Lord Neil for safekeeping. I found it while cleaning out an old warehouse. I laughed. This young man is becoming more and more useful. I looked at the map again. Suddenly, a plan came to mind. Since there is a shortage of crew members, then let Baron Blackrock send his men over himself. I found Gus's private letters. His handwriting was among them. Then, I started to forge a letter asking for help. The content is very simple. Large quantities of charcoal were stockpiled in Bayfengton. Baron Blackrock needs to send a ship for transport. In addition, the scaled people attacked here. Support is needed. After writing, I asked Neil to confirm. Does it look like it? Neil watched for a while. His expression was complicated. Grown-ups, it's almost identical to Gus's handwriting. He does like to write letters like this. I nodded. Very good. 3 days later, the letter was sent. Everyone began to wait. 5 days later, ships can be seen on the distant sea. Baron Blackrock's transport fleet has arrived. There are 3 ships in total. More than 40 sailors. They had no idea. What awaited them was not charcoal. It was a carefully prepared trap. After the fleet docked, the sailors were still discussing it. Why is this place so quiet? Weren't there many people doing the work before? Stop talking nonsense. Load the goods first. They just disembarked. Kyle led the knights out from both sides. More than 40 sailors were instantly surrounded. The captain drew his dagger. Who are you? I stepped out from behind the crowd. Lord of Northwind Beach, Ryan Stone. The captain's expression changed. Where is Baron Blackrock? I looked at him. Soon, you will see him. These sailors did not participate in the sacrifice. It did not directly harm the residents. So I didn't kill them. Instead, they made them sign an allegiance pact. Those who are willing to stay. They became the first professional sailors at Bayfengton. Those who are unwilling, pay the ransom and leave. Final. All 46 sailors chose to stay, because they know it very well. There is no future in following Baron Blackrock, and under a new lord who dared to challenge the nobility. On the contrary, there is a chance. After resolving the issue of maritime power, I immediately prepared to attack Blackrock Island. The Purple Honey set sail with its newly recruited crew. The people on the ship witnessed my true strength for the first time. It wasn't because of Marquis Chiel. It's not because of the Stone family. Instead, they rely on their own judgment. Black Rock Island is much more prosperous than Northwind Beach. There are mines on the island. There is a warehouse. There are also a large number of livestock. These are the riches that Baron Blackrock has accumulated over the past 3 years. We approached under cover of darkness. They were not given time to react. The battle lasted less than a day. Baron Blackrock's guards quickly crumbled. When I entered the castle hall, Victor Halson was still sitting in the chair. He looked at me. His face was full of disbelief. Ryan, how could you possibly get here? I walked up to him. Because you made a mistake. What? You think of the people who are exiled. We can only wait for death forever. Victor clenched his fist. You can't kill me. I am an imperial baron. I looked at him. You take the people who sacrificed the scaled people. You are using civilians to gain military merits. Your title. It's meaningless now. That day, Baron Blackrock and his cronies were all brought to justice. Black Rock Island. It has officially fallen under my control. Then, I began to take stock of my spoils. 7,200 miners, 1,600 tons of iron ore, 4,800 gold coins, a large number of livestock. There is also a patch of growing magical pea plants. These resources? This is enough to cause huge changes in Beifengtan. But deep within Blackrock Island, the myriad manifestations spirit compass vibrated once again. I walked into the forest. A special plant has been discovered. Special spirit insect discovered. Thorn spirit insect. A smile slowly crept onto my face. It seems so. This island. There are even more secrets. After I took over Blackrock Island, the development speed of North Wind Beach began to increase significantly. In the past, there was a shortage of manpower, lack of resources, lacking maritime capabilities. These restrictions were all resolved within just a few days. More than 7,000 miners remained on Blackrock Island temporarily. They used to obey Baron Blackrock only to survive. It has a new owner now. I stopped exploiting them. Instead, they reformulated miners. Benefits. Fixed working hours every day. Provide enough food. There is treatment available for injuries. There are extra rewards for completing the task. After the news spread, many miners couldn't believe it. Are you sure you don't have to work until late at night every day? Will I really receive the compensation that is rightfully mine? Won't the new lord suddenly change the rules? Faced with these problems, I only have one sentence to say. What Beifengtan needs are people who are willing to build this place, not a slave forced to work. Soon, the miners' attitudes changed. They began to take the initiative to maintain order in the mining area. The iron ore mine on Blackrock Island has become an important foundation for the future development of North Wind Beach. After handling the Blackrock Island matter, I took Cal deep into the island, because it started with the capture of Blackrock Island. The myriad manifestation spirit compass has been consistently responding. As we walked through a dense forest, the compass finally locked onto the target. A peculiar plant growing beside a rock came into view. Its vines have dark red veins. It was surrounded by tiny, sharp spikes. If an ordinary person gets close, they can easily get scratched. Discovered spirit insect category. Thorny insect ability. Enhances plant defense. I reached out and touched it. A small insect, hidden among the vines, slowly emerged. After the contract is completed, the thorny spirit insects have come under my control. This ability is ideal for territory building. When planting precious spiritual plants in the future, natural protection can be created using thorn beetles. Avoid damage from common wild animals. Continue exploring Blackrock Island. We have discovered another underground cave. The cave entrance is hidden behind the waterfall. If it's not a compass reading, it's hard for anyone to notice. Cal drew his sword. There might be danger inside. I nodded. The two entered the cave. The deeper you go, the more humid the air. At last, we arrived at an underground space. Surprisingly, a large number of magical beasts live here. 35 swamp frogs. They are enormous. The skin surface has toxic patterns. Even ordinary knights need to be careful when encountering such a monster. But in my eyes, this is not dangerous. Rather, its resources. Swamp frogs possess remarkable vitality. Their flesh and blood can aid the knight's training. If a breeding farm is established, the strength of the North Wind Beach Knights will increase rapidly in the future. I made the decision immediately. This place has been transformed into an underground breeding farm. Kyle looked at the swamp frogs. Grown-ups, you plan to raise these magical beasts? Yes. They will become the strength of the North Wind Beach. After returning to North Wind Beach, I began to replan my territory. First step, divide the villages. Step 2, expand farmland. Step 3, establish a training ground. I divided the territory into 11 areas. Different regions are responsible for different production. Someone is in charge of planting. Someone was in charge of smelting. Someone is in charge of raising them. Someone is in charge of trade. The entire North Wind Beach began to form a true territorial system. At the same time, I used a compass to purchase new host plants. The small bean insect needs a better environment. Rye fly larvae, alfalfa fly larvae, and tomato fly larvae also require specific types of soil. Planning has begun for more than 5,000 mu of farmland. Protective low walls were erected in each area. Because these spiritual plants are different from ordinary crops, once damaged, the losses were enormous. Kyle looked around at the bustling territory. He sighed. Grown-ups, this place is not like it was a few months ago. I stand at the harbor. looking at the sea in the distance. This is just the beginning. My goal. It's never about guarding a small island. Instead, it's about establishing a truly powerful territory. Just then, the all-encompassing spirit compass gave another notification. I opened the system interface. Evolutionary conditions for the spirit insect have been detected. Target: Crimson spirit insect, requires a special host. Bloodthirsty crimson rose. I saw this message. My gaze stopped. Bloodthirsty crimson rose. A special plant that has been extinct in mainland China for many years. It can help the crimson spirit insect break through its limitations. If successful, the crimson spirit insect will evolve into an elementary spirit. The compass will also be granted higher-level permissions. I checked the price. A lot of gold coins are needed. Beifengtan is just getting started. Gold coins were not plentiful. But this is an opportunity you can't miss. I made the decision directly. Buy. A large amount of gold coins were consumed instantly. A rose with black petals appeared in the warehouse. It exudes a special aura. After the crimson spirit insect approached, they have become noticeably more active. A few days later, the crimson spirit insects fell into a deep sleep. A layer of red light cocoon appeared on the body's surface. Everyone knows. It is changing. And at the same time the territory was developing rapidly. New troubles have arisen. The caravan sent by Viscount Soren brought news. The Violet Merchant Guild has begun restricting trade in the North Cold River province. They refuse to trade with Northwind Beach. He even warned other businessmen. They are not allowed to sell us supplies. Obviously, people are starting to really notice me. Blackstone Collar, governor of the Northern Cold River. And then there are the forces hidden behind the scenes. They finally discovered it. The second son who was once sent to the border to die. It is growing little by little. The Violet Merchant Guild's blockade came sooner than I expected. When the news reached Northwind Beach, Viscount Soren's caravan had just left. He left a letter. The contents of the letter were very simple. Your Excellency Ryan, the Violet Merchant Guild has issued a notice to the entire North Cold River province stating that any merchant who engages in large-scale transactions with Northwind Beach will be disqualified from cooperation. They want to force you to back down. I put the letter down, not angry. Instead, he laughed. Because this shows. They finally started to see me as a real opponent. If I were just an exiled nobleman who could die at the border at any moment, no one would waste their energy targeting me. The current situation proves that the development of Beifengtan has attracted their attention. Kyle stood to the side. Should we send someone to warn them? I shook my head. No need. The business blockade only shows that they are afraid of our growth. The real solution is not to ask them to open up trade. It gives us something that no one else can replace. I looked at the map on the table. There is an iron ore deposit in Beifengtan. There are spirit insects. It has the potential to breed warcraft. And there's the land that will continue to expand in the future. Once the foundation is established, any blockade will fail. But the immediate problem must be solved. Food, tool, building materials, these are all things needed for the development of the territory. Viscount Soren has become the only businessman currently willing to cooperate. He arrived at Beifengtan on that day. I witnessed the changes here with my own eyes. The port was once dilapidated. Repairs have now begun. In the farmland, the villagers are planting new spiritual plants. On the training field, young militia members are receiving training. Soren stood on the dock. He remained silent for a long time. Your Excellency Ryan, I heard that this place used to be an abandoned land. I nodded. It used to be. Not now. Soren laughed. You are different from the rumors. Many people were of noble birth. When faced with difficulties, I can only wait for my family to help me. But you chose to build everything yourself. I didn't respond. Just asking. Are you willing to continue our cooperation? Soren did not answer immediately. Instead, they looked towards the distant mines. Iron mines on Blackrock Island. The spiritual plants of Beifengtan. And there's the future of maritime trade. These things are enough for me to take a gamble. He reached out his hand. Cooperate. I took his hand. From this moment on, Northwind Beach acquired its own trading partners. Soren was in charge of transporting building materials, weapons, and food. I will provide resources for the future. The two sides complement each other. For the first time, a crack appeared in the Violet Merchant Guild's blockade. However, just as the territory was gradually stabilizing, new trouble has arisen. A small boat flying the flag of the governor of North Cold River forcibly entered the port of Northwind Beach. A middle-aged man disembarked from the boat. He was dressed in aristocratic attire. He was followed by more than a dozen guards. I am a special envoy from the governor's office. By order of Lord Cedric. Inspect the situation at Bayfengton. I am standing on the dock. No one was asked to stop them. Examine? The envoy nodded. Bayfengton is close to the border. The governor is worried that something might go wrong here. When he spoke, his eyes kept scanning the port. Obviously, the so-called inspection is just an excuse. The real purpose. Let's see how far Bayfengton has developed now. I took him on a tour. Farmland, mining area, training ground, every place we passed through. His expression darkened further, because the speed of development here has exceeded their expectations. At last, he stopped at the port, looking at the purple honey. Your Excellency Ryan, this ship is too big. Such armed forces should not exist in border areas. I looked at him. The purple honey is my property. No violation of imperial law. The envoy's face darkened. Grown-ups. Some things shouldn't be taken too far. I laughed. This sentence. It should be given to the governor's office. After the special envoy left. That night, I received a message. His boat was moored not far from Northwind Beach. It seems they want to continue observing. I did not wait. The next morning, I personally piloted the purple honey out of port. The small boat saw us approaching. I wanted to escape immediately, but the purple honey is faster. The massive ship blocked its path. The other crew members panicked. The special envoy stood on the deck and roared, "Ryan, what you up to?" I stood at the bow of the boat. He said calmly, "Tell Governor Cedric. Northwind Beach welcomes normal exchanges. But guests who come with threats are not welcome." The special envoy's face turned ashen. He hadn't expected it. I dared to directly intimidate the people in the governor's office. The purple honey slowly turned around. The ship kicked up huge waves. The small boat could only leave in a sorry state. The news reached Cold River Island. The entire noble circle of the northern Cold River fell silent. They realized it for the first time. Ryan Stone was no longer the young nobleman sent to the border. He owns territory. It has an army, owns a fleet of ships. They also possess the audacity to challenge the governor. At this time, on Chieo Island, Herman's maternal grandfather also received the news. He sat in the study, looking at the intelligence coming from Northwind Beach. A smile appeared on his face. This child. They're finally starting to show their true colors. Parents stood to the side. "Father, do we need to come over?" Herman was silent for a moment. He then stood up. "Prepare the fleet. I want to go to Bayfengton myself. It's time to let those people know who's behind Ryan." At the same time, on the Northwind Beach, cracks began to appear in the cocoon of the crimson spirit insect. A new breath of life is awakening. And I know. This marks the true transformation of Bayfengton. It's about to begin. The day the cocoon of the crimson spirit insect developed cracks, the entire population of Bayfengton gathered outside the Lingji garden. No one dared to approach, because they know, what is nurtured within is the most precious power for the future of the territory. I stood at the very front. The myriad manifestation spirit compass in his hand emitted a faint light. Evolution complete. Crimson spirit insect successfully evolved, obtained a beginner-level spirit. Crimson flame, the light cocoon shattered. A red figure slowly flew out from inside. It's only the size of a palm, yet it exudes a powerful life force. The body was like a burning flame. The surrounding bloodthirsty crimson roses bloomed simultaneously. A unique fragrance filled the air. The crimson flame circled around me once. Then it landed on my shoulder. The contract is complete. That moment, I felt my power connected to it. The compass has also undergone new changes. Unlock beginner-level elf purchasing permissions. Unlock the mass cultivation function for spirit insects. Seeing this information, I finally understand. All previous accumulation. It's all for this moment. It takes a long time for ordinary nobles to cultivate spirit insects. It requires countless resources. And now, I have a path that can keep expanding. The future of Northwind Beach. We have officially entered a new phase. Just then, news came from the port. Marquis Chio's fleet has arrived. Herman's maternal grandfather came in person. I led my men to the port. The sea in the distance. Dozens of warships slowly approached. The flag of the Red Claw family fluttered in the wind. After the ship docked, Perrin was the first to come down. Then, several knights carried the chair. Herman sat there, although my body has not fully recovered. However, he was still wearing the uniform from the Royal Navy era. After he saw me, he laughed. "Ryan, your territory. It's better than I expected." I bowed. "Grandpa, I'm sorry to have worried you. Herman shook his head. I'm not worried. I just want to take a look. That child whom everyone thought had no future. Just how far has it come? Then, he personally inspected Bayfington. I saw a neatly planned village. I saw militiamen training. I saw the mining area constantly in operation. I saw the spiritual plants growing. Herman remained silent for a long time. Finally, it was said, "You are no longer someone who needs the protection of your family. You are building your own family." This sentence. It gave me a slight jolt, because after coming into this world, I have been proving myself, to prove that he was not the abandoned second son. But even now, I only just realized it. I no longer need to prove it. I have my own path, one's own territory, one's own followers. News of the arrival of Marquis Chieo quickly spread throughout the northern Cold River province. Those nobles who had previously been observing, their attitudes completely changed. Before, they considered Northwind Beach to be just a small border territory. Now, they started to reassess my value. A few days later, the Imperial Inspection Mission arrived at the northern Cold River. They are responsible for inspecting border achievements. At the same time, noble titles were determined. I went there with the records of the Scaled People's battle achievements. Inside the lobby, the inspector reviewed the documents. Ryan Stone, you have eliminated the Scaled Man threat in a short time. Restore order to the border. Meets the Imperial reward standards. Based on merit. To be granted the title of Hereditary Baron. The hall fell silent. The person who was once sent to the border, they officially became true nobles. I received the title decree. There was no excitement. There was no excitement either, because I know, this is just the first step. After returning to Northwind Beach, I received a letter from Blackrock Territory. Signature, Lenner. The content is very simple. He wanted to ease tensions. I hope that the past is over. After I finished reading it, I simply placed the letter on the table. Kyle asked, "Grown-ups, are you prepared to forgive him?" I looked out the window. No, but now is not the time. Lenner, Ainen, and those who were involved in the scheme, what they owe, sooner or later, it will have to be repaid. But true revenge, it wasn't an impulse. Instead, they stand in a higher position, make it impossible for them to escape. Now, Bayfington has mines. It has trade. It possesses spirit insects. It has an army. But that's my goal. It's far from over. The high mountain on the east side of the island. I've been keeping an eye on it. There is a huge silver mine there. There was also an adult silver dragon. Me now. We are not yet qualified to challenge it. Earth Armor Knight. This is just the beginning. Future. I want to break through to the Heavenly Armor Knight level. I want to climb that mountain. I want to become a Dragon Knight. Let the whole continent know. The name Ryan Stone. It doesn't represent some exiled second son. He was a true lord. At sunset, I stood at the highest point of Bayfington. The myriad manifestations spirit compass in his hands slowly turned. New coordinates have appeared. New opportunities are waiting. And my story? This is just the beginning. After becoming a hereditary baron, Bayfington has truly entered a new phase. In the past, many people only thought of the border, deserted islands, scaly people, and death when they mentioned this place. Nowadays, people talk about Bayfington. They were thinking of a new, emerging territory, but I know very well. A title is merely a change in status. True strength comes from the territory itself. If Bayfington wants to gain a foothold in Bayhan, it must have its own core industry. So, the day after the inspector left, I gathered all the key personnel. Neil was in charge of administration. Soren was in charge of trade. Kyle was in charge of military training. Russo was in charge of organizing the territory documents. There is also the knightly force left behind by the Crimson Claw family. Everyone stood in the Lord's Hall. I unfolded the map. Starting today, Bayfington has entered the full-scale construction phase. Neil picked up the pen. My lord, please make the arrangements. I pointed to several areas on the map. Establish an ore processing zone in the north. The iron ore on Blackrock Island cannot simply be mined. We need to make our own farm tools, weapons, and ship parts. Soren nodded. This can reduce our reliance on external chambers of commerce. I continued, build a spiritual plant zone in the west. The small bean insect, rye insect, alfalfa insect, and tomato insect are all cultivated separately. After the spiritual plants mature, a portion of them are used to make medicines. A portion is used for trade. The east side is close to the coast. Expand the port. In the future, Bayfengton must have its own deep-sea capabilities. Everyone took careful notes. Because they know, the young lord before us is no longer simply guarding an island. He is planning a real power. After the meeting, Kyle stayed. Grown-ups, there's something I want to tell you. What? Kyle handed over a piece of intelligence. Blackstone territory has been making moves recently. I opened the file. The document records the recent changes in Leonard. After becoming the Lord of Blackrock, Leonard did not achieve the stability he had envisioned, because many of the nobles who had once supported him began to reassess the situation. The reason is simple. They discovered I was the one who was sent to the border. They survived, and they are living better and better lives. Leonard is facing greater pressure now than ever before. He wants to repair the relationship, yet they are unwilling to admit their mistakes. Therefore, people were sent to investigate Bayfengton. After I finished reading it, I put the file down. He finally started to get scared. Kyle asked, "Grown-ups, does it need to be done in advance?" I shook my head. Now is not the time. Blackstone territory still retains its noble status recognized by the Empire. A direct conflict would only give other forces an opportunity. The real revenge. It's never just a momentary pleasure. Instead, it forces the enemy to accept the outcome when they are unable to recover. Just then, Russo rushed in. "Grown-ups, there's a problem at the plant garden." I got up immediately. After arriving at the Lingji garden, several farmers were found waiting anxiously. An anomaly appeared in one of the areas with crimson spiritual plants. The once growing vines had begun to show signs of withering. I immediately checked the all-encompassing spirit compass. Soon, new information has emerged. Abnormal environment detected for the spiritual plant, reason. Insufficient magic concentration. I frowned. I see. After the spirit insects evolved, ordinary environments can no longer meet their needs. We want Bayfengton to continue developing. The territory's magic level must be increased. And in this world, the source of magic power mainly relies on special ores, elven power, and magic circles. I thought of the mineral veins discovered on Blackrock Island. They also thought of the silver mine on the high mountain to the east. There is also an adult silver dragon. In the past, it was due to insufficient strength. I have no choice but to give up for now. Now, this is the first time I've seriously considered that place. If silver mine resources can be obtained, the development speed of Bayfengton will increase again. But the silver dragon, they are not beings I can challenge right now. I must continue to accumulate experience. Notify everyone. Establish a magic research area. Find a way to enhance the magic of your territory. Neil was somewhat surprised. Grown-ups, shall we start studying magic now? I nodded. A truly powerful territory. It's not just about soldiers and gold coins. We also need to understand the source of our power. That evening, I stood alone atop the castle. The myriad manifestation spirit compass in his hands slowly turned. A new coordinate system has emerged. It is far from Bayfengton. That was an unknown sea area. The compass is displayed. There exists a special kind of spirit insect there. Name: Deep Sea Tidal Spirit. It can improve the marine environment. It can even affect marine resources. I was looking in that direction. I already have a new plan in mind. North Wind Beach will not remain as it is now. I will make this the most powerful territory in the North Sea. Let all those who once looked down on me understand. An abandoned second sun. They can also create their own era. And this sea area, it will eventually become my territory.